is 6:30, and we'll call the meeting to order. And as we always do, we introduce ourselves, and people are probably tired of that by this time, but it's all right. We'll start with Dave tonight.
I'm Dave Johnson, a member of the committee.
Jim Thoreen, Brainerd City Administrator.
Eric Queering, Brainerd City Attorney.
Chris Schubert, HR Coordinator.
Connie Hillman, Finance Director.
Mary, oh, sorry.
I guess my green, I blended in. Dave Pritchett, member of the committee.
Mary Cope, committee member, and we'll go around this way.
Spencer Bickett, Brainerd Dispatch.
Rick Fargo, Progressive Property Management and Brainerd Attorney.
And back to you guys.
Just interested in what's going on.
Well, just tell us your name.
Oh, Doug.
Okay, Doug.
Darlene Johnson, AP Specialist for the city.
Welcome to all of you, and we're happy to have you with us. And we'll begin with item 1, the approval of bills, transfer of funds, and payments to contractors. And I don't see any contractor payments tonight.
Oh, there's a bunch.
Right down
Oh,
here.
yeah, there they are. Oh, yeah, there they are. I was hoping I could miss them. All right. No, I see. So what is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I just have one quick question on the Burlington Northern Alley. Is that going to be in part of your discussions with them, Jim?
The only thing I addressed in the correspondence was
That's
This is something
BN Credit
different.
Union.
This is the BN Credit Union Alley, and this is, they're paying for half of it. You guys approved it.
Okay.
Or-
separate issue.
Oh,
No,
right.
this is a different issue. This is the
Oh,
BN Credit Union.
Let me see what's on my mind. All right, all in
I have-
favor?
I have
Go
a
ahead,
comment,
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
please.
You're working with a new spreadsheet this year on your
Yes.
payments to contractors and making sure your final payments are all correct. And I see we're getting some final payments here. How's the new spreadsheet working?
Very good. Very
We're
good.
not overpaying anybody?
We're not overpaying anybody, and you can see a lot of these final payments are also on the SP&W. And it goes through like what the amount was versus what the final quantities ended up being.
Cool.
So it's good.
We had a motion, I believe, a second discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 2, and that is renewal rates for the health insurance for this year, and who's Chris?
Right. So I believe that you were aware through the budget process that we received an average of a 20% increase for our health insurance. I think Connie had mentioned that to you. We met as an employee insurance committee. We had NJPA representatives attend our meeting. NJPA is the National Joint Powers Agreement. I'll get this
Point
yet.
powers.
That met with us and discussed trends in utilization, some of the key factors that caused that increase. The insurance committee, when we met, recommended that we approve the rates. We also discussed our $500 deductible plan that we currently have as an option. When we settled or when we negotiated our 2014 union contracts, that was one of the things that we had tried to buy out at that time, is that we no longer wanted that insurance plan. With that final settlement of that 2014 contract this year, earlier this year, we were finally able to accommodate that. So, and we only had one person that was on that plan, that was a retiree that had left, now has become eligible for Medicare, so they're no longer on the plan, so we have no one on the plan at this point. So what our recommendation is to approve the 2016 health insurance rate renewal as submitted by NJPA, and further to eliminate the $500 deductible plan as an insurance option effective 1/1/16.
So moved.
Second.
Under discussion, what did the actual percentage figure out to be increased?
It was about 19.5 for one plan and 21 for the other, so that's why it's a 19 or 20% average.
Okay. Okay, and I noted on here in the fine print that at the end of, is it this year or is it next year, 2006, January of this year, next year, that there has to be a form that
With the
employees get. So in effect, do they have to report this as income?
No. What part of the Affordable Care Act states that we now need to give employees information regarding their health insurance. And then the employee takes that form when they fill out their taxes. for 2015.
Okay.
And then that shows that they had coverage and things like that.
Or if they're eligible for the subsidies based on the MNsure plan or
Yeah.
what is it called, the pool? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. That they're eligible for that subsidy as well.
It's all from the Affordable Care Act. The government is just, the federal government, IRS, is trying to collect information on who's insured and how much they're paying for their insurance.
Exactly.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item 3, audit. We've got some very heavy books in our packet tonight.
I bet Gabe read them all.
I read every single page.
Well,
I did.
Well, I did go through them, but not in that much detail. But I believe our options tonight are to decide how many we would like to interview and who we would like to interview. So,
Or if you want to make a recommendation based off of the information that you did receive.
oh, I don't want to do that. I really want to have some interviews. I feel much better when I can eyeball people and ask them questions. And,
If I may, Madam Chair, I guess if you
whatever.
correct. Connie and I have talked about this, and I'm looking at the rate per hour. Now, there's a number of measurements of which you could look at. You know, if you look at your rate per hour at the bottom, the only one that is less than our current would be Schletter, Winter and Company out of St. Cloud. And by that measure, and like I say, there's others.
I'd like to address that. I wasn't a big fan of this spreadsheet for 2 reasons. One is your rate per hour. The out of the area firms like McGladrey and I have significant out-of-pocket charges, which are charges, but they're not hourly rate. That's just what they assume their travel and hotel will be. So it doesn't equal into an hourly rate. And secondly, you said Clifton Larson Allen is from Brainerd.
They say that they're from Brainerd. If they're in their proposal, they use the city of Brainerd for everything except for when they're proposing on Baxter. They say they're a Brainerd entity.
Well, I brought this up, I think, last year, and last year, well, the offer was, because they felt it was sort of late in the year, and I think it was PNF at that time, Dave, you were no doubt there, that we would stay with the current provider and that would go out for RFPs this year. So that's what we've done. And it seems to me that you don't lose anything by having some interviews, and I don't think anybody should be, any consultant should look upon it as they're guaranteed the business forever and ever. In fact, if I had my way, about every 5th year we'd invite the state auditor to do the audit. And the county is required to have them for the most part. I think there's
Well,
a little
counties have the option to
They have, yeah.
opt
some
out.
options.
They through a process. They
Right,
understand.
but I think it's really good to have, it isn't a question of thinking that anyone is dishonest. That isn't it. It's simply a new set of eyes, and there are all sorts of little nuances in auditing and I think different ways of addressing things. And I just think you have nothing to lose by having some interviews, and maybe you're going to end up thinking that what you had is the best you can get. Maybe you're going to say a new set of eyes would be a good thing. So I would really like us to at least go through the process, and I don't care how many you want to interview. Talked to Jim just a bit, and he thought 3, I believe.
Well, if you're going to interview, I wouldn't interview anyone.
3, and I think that's reasonable. But we did ask, and we had all of these people put together time and effort and cost to submit a proposal. And now if all of a sudden we say, well, you know, it was nice, but we don't care. I think we should at least pick 3 and set up some time and do it. That's what I'd like to see.
One of the factors that Connie points out correctly, I think, is that both BPU and HRA are apparently staying with Clifton Larson. Now, I'm not an accountant, so I can't tell you the machinations that have to go on between BPU, HRA, and the city. But it would seem to me if you should end up with different accounting firms, there may be some, I'll use the real technical term, hiccups.
That's a question we could ask, though, if we interview. It's a question we could pose. And I liked Abdo, Ike, and Myers. That was one of them that I liked for an interview. And the other one I liked was kind of short and sweet, was Bergen. And I thought, I'd like to talk to those two at least, and then whoever else you think would do it. Ivy Bailey, maybe? But what is your wish?
Yeah, if we do interviews, I think I Bailey should be part of the interview process.
Ivy Bailey?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think Clifton Larson Allen should be.
Well,
as
most certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, that was without saying that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have said it.
So, Ivy Bailey, you like one of them, Ivy Bailey. Did any of you care for Abdo, Ike, and Myers?
I was concerned about estimating 295 hours,
Yeah.
but
It's, low.
Well, but in that regard, it's interesting to see Little Adry saying 500 hours and Abdo 295 hours. That's a substantial difference.
I thought seeing who cities that they worked with now was helpful. And actually, I thought they all had some pretty good, they had cities they worked with. The Bergen has Park Rapids, Fergus, St. Cloud, Richfield.
somebody needs to tell St. Cloud they only need one audit.
I'm
These
wondering
aren't
if that was a
necessarily who the
different
current
year.
auditors are. These are different, these were past cities.
Yeah, that's what I thought probably, yeah. Anybody want to pick them between Abdo, Ike, and Myers, and Bergen?
I think of the two, I'd probably be more interested in Bergen.
Okay, Bergen. And then you want Clifton Allen?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Clifton Allen? So is 3 agreeable, or does anybody want to go with another one? Okay, then we need to recommend to council, and we need to set a date. And I presume it should be a couple weeks in advance so they could have some notice too.
And the interviewing body is,
This committee has done it in the past, but it's whatever you want. The PNF has done the interviews in the past. But
well, given your committee structure, wouldn't it make sense that you do the interview with a recommendation?
And then we, as I recall a few years ago when we did it, the council were advised that they were very welcome to sit in or to submit questions in advance, but under the open meeting law, they couldn't talk if it was our committee. So, that seemed to work well.
My concerns, I'm just kind of looking at scheduling.
Sure.
Which might be the only reason why I might suggest that instead of doing it our committee, it would totally depend on what day we look at. There's some days that work and some don't.
Look at you, we're going to be agreeable.
I think the last time we did interviews, I know for sure that we did Abdo, Ike and Myers, as well as Redpath and Company.
Well,
And Clifton Larson Allen, and I want to say we did KDV or Schlenner and Winner. I can't remember which one.
well, then we got new ones this time. That's good. That's good. I like that. I don't remember that I thought we had any duds the last time. I thought they were all pretty good. But sometimes it gets down to who you think may be the most efficient.
Well, and CLA's proposal said if fees are your major concern, we can negotiate them.
So look at what, Dave, let's start with you.
Well, what dates, what time frame are we looking at?
2 or 3 weeks, I would think. Probably by the 20th of October, if we can.
Okay, so yeah, that first week is tough. Are we looking at Mondays or are we looking at any day?
Any day. Everybody's going to have something, so we'll start with
14th of October. Wednesdays usually are.
We had to quit our 14th date for someone. We had that for our workshop.
The 14th
We
was
had to
supposed to
give
be the
that up.
PNF workshop, but in the one of the agenda items is for a committee to consider rescheduling that because the fire advisory board meeting came on the same time.
Yeah, and I'm not on the fire advisory.
I'm not either. And you're not either.
I am not.
But we
So-
were requesting that staff could be able to attend the fire advisory board.
What time is the fire advisory board?
4 to 6.
All right.
Oh,
Okay. Does all the staff need to be at the, do you feel, for the audit interview?
Finance and administrator.
I would think
Well,
Yeah.
I would much, that I be there, yes.
Okay,
And Connie needs to be there.
okay.
The 21st.
That would be the 21st. What day is that, a
It's a
Wednesday?
Wednesday.
I
20,
know I probably have planning and zoning, but that'll be later.
21st, I would have library. If it's the third Wednesday, we have no, library's the fourth Wednesday.
Yep, that would be the 20th.
Yes, 21st I could do it.
So I'm assuming you're going to do this in the evening, or are you thinking during the day?
We're asking Dave here.
Sometime after school.
We're going to put the
Hey,
onus.
if you want to do it at 12, that's great. I just won't be here.
I'm going to put it on Dave. You, 4 work for you, Dave?
Yeah, 4 or quarter to 4 would be fine too.
3:45, the 21st, how's that for you, Gabe?
That may work. I think it'll work. I have something at 2, but I don't think it'll take 2 hours.
Okay, October 21st at 3:45 and 3:45, 4:45, 5:45. Oh, try to be done by 6,
Oh gosh.
I think
much
it's
time
going
do
to
you
be an
want to
hour.
7?
Yeah.
Are you
It
gonna
would be an
spend-
hour.
An
It'd be
hour.
a
So
even
it's
amount
going
of
to be
time.
7 o'clock.
Okay.
So maybe we started at 4, 5, and 6.
Or give them 40 minutes each.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would like
Yeah.
I would think
Right.
I
40,
It's more than
no
enough.
offense, Connie, but 40 minutes,
plenty.
Okay?
I think I'll.
I think so too.
My brain's gonna start like oozing out of my ear after about 20.
Otherwise, some of them kind of wander on, and so we can.
Nobody here wanders on, Mary.
So we're going to say we're looking for a crisp, concise presentation.
Yeah,
Start time is,
3:40.
3:45. We'll be here at 3:45, maybe start the interview at 4. So, and if someone cannot make that, let us know as quickly as they can, and we could see if
So
it
who are
does.
who are the 3 that we're interviewing?
ID Bailey, Bergen, Clifton Allen.
I just have one question. You know, Mr. Thoreen, it sounded like you were kind of interested in Schlenner and what?
Oh,
No,
I-
no, he just,
You were just pointing out the hourly.
I just simply pointed
Okay.
out, looking at hourly rate, which granted is sort of a, but then you look at all-inclusive fees, and that's, in terms of dollars and cents, maybe a better accurate assessment. What you're.
They're still on the low end for that. But
Well, they are. And, you know, having come from a climate where we are audited by the state auditor, I've never been audited by anybody other than that. The consistency that comes along with, your proves change from year to year. But the consistency is there, and of course, the auditor changes from now and then, every 4 years, or 8.
Well, I'm certainly willing to look at them.
I just would like to point out that they do not have experience with the GFOA certificate,
Oh.
so they're not the same.
they're not the same level.
I think they're a little bit of a smaller CPA firm. They're
Let's
not
stick with the
regional.
3 we got.
All right, and if we didn't like any of them, we can move on. Okay?
Works for me.
Are we in agreement on that? Let's have a motion that we interview these 3 and that it'd be October 21st, beginning at 3:45.
I move that we interview Bergen KDV, Clifton Larson Allen, and then Heidi Bailey on the 21st of October, starting at 4 o'clock.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And we are now on to the city's, or the preliminary levy. And we're talking about the HRA. And they are asking for an additional $391. And I'm thinking in the interest of trying to set an example that we would hold their levy to last year's, which is $16,550.
I move that we set the HRA levy at $116,941, which is the maximum.
I'll second that and we can have our discussion.
I just wondered why. You know, we sit there looking at this humongous increase in our levy. This is a small thing. Yeah, I agree completely, it's a small thing. But it's kind of sets a precedent. I mean, why? Why do it? I don't believe there was any real justification outside of, we can take it. Is that a justification for a levy? Because they can take it? They said they did not wish to take, which they could have taken, a little money off of that grant for administration. They said, no, we're going to do that. We'll eat that. Well, they aren't eating it. They're asking the city for more money on that. They could have taken money from that grant for administration costs. They chose not to. You could all give up your per diems, and we'd be way below this.
I'd like to address that.
All right, go right ahead.
We sent out a request for qualifications. We haven't received proposals. We don't know what kind of consultant we're going to have with the Difference Makers grant. We don't know if it'll be the maximum amount of the grant or just a fraction of it. So you can't say that they are or are not eating administrative costs when we don't know.
Well, that
we
is
haven't
what
received
Jennifer
a single
said.
proposal.
But I remember picking her about that when she was up there, and I remember saying to her, you could take some of the administrative costs from this, because they could. It was $33,000. And I suggested they take $3,000. And she said, no, we're just going to do this. We'll just swallow it. Well, they're not swallowing it. They're saying to the taxpayers of Brainerd, you pay it. I'm saying no.
The Brainerd JCs did also donate an additional $1,000 to offset the administrative costs. So there's more than just one grant.
Well,
and this
then they shouldn't need this at all.
This is so much more than the Difference Makers grant. This is the entire Housing and Redevelopment Authority.
Well, I just can't see it. I don't know how we are going to go back and make any significant changes in the levy when the first thing out of the chute, you want to give them more. I just don't see it.
I just have to take slight issue with saying that giving HRA $391 is precedent setting. I can, if every one of my subsequent actions is totally dependent upon a previous action, then I have no free will. So saying that I have no free will and can't make independent decisions, I think doesn't make any sense. So.
And I think the precedent setting would not be allowing them their maximum levy, because that is what they have been getting as of late.
And this is the preliminary levy, just like ours. It can be lowered in December, but it cannot be raised.
And it's a separate levy from this
cities.
levy.
Right.
But it's the bottom line is what the taxpayer looks at. They don't sit there and say, oh, this was this and this. They look at the bottom line and what they're having to pay. And I just think this is inexcusable. But all in favor? Opposed? I'm opposed. Gabe, you can give the report because you're on the HRA.
Yeah, I'll gladly report.
I'll tell you, the library would like you, then they would have the big increase.
The big 300.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, I think they wanted 12,000, so I think we all have to be careful of that when we're on a committee, that we are very careful that we try to be objective.
So now that you've lectured Gabe, can we go on to number 5?
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. Okay, we'll go on to the next item, which is the Truth in Taxation public hearing.
So because we are a population over 500, we need to hold a Truth in Taxation public hearing to discuss the budget and the levy. And typically, historically, we've done it on the second Tuesday of December. And that would be December 14th if we're following the same practice.
Any problem? Dave, you got anything on that?
Me
Don't
too.
tell us you have something.
Second Monday or Tuesday?
Second Monday.
Oh.
We've always done it.
Oh, I thought you said Tuesday.
Well,
Sorry, second Monday is when we've historically have done it, and that would be the 14th of December.
Yeah, that should be good.
Gabe?
Yep, I got it.
So
At 6 o'clock?
motion would be to hold it that date by Gabe and seconded by Dave.
Sure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And
Motion
it's at 6
carried.
o'clock.
Yes, at 6 o'clock. And the next one, the parking lots. I wanted to bring that up because, we left so much in that budget, and if we meet again with everything the way it is, we're not going to get anything done. So I thought we should start looking at some of these issues that might properly be things that our committee could look at. And again, they gave us, we have before us the 4 lots, the rates, the number rented, average, and all of those good things. And once again, I think, that we could make some serious changes there. I would like to see us at a minimum raise the city hall lot to $35. It's full, likely to stay full. It's only $10 a month. That's pretty cheap compared with a lot of places. Maple Street, if I had my druthers, I'd either put it up for sale as a piece of property, but I don't know that anybody'd buy it. Or else I would reduce that one to maybe $10 and as an incentive to get people over there. On the other two, I would not subsidize them.
What's the cross street on the Maple Park?
The what?
Cross Street.
Where is the Maple?
Fifth and Maple.
Fifth and Maple.
Yeah,
Okay.
right by the library.
Yep.
I did find out from talking with the city engineer today that the building next to it, is my understanding, is we have an agreement with them that they own part of the library lot as well. So I don't think we could sell the whole Maple lot. I wasn't quite following Jeff all the way, but he said he would follow the agreement. But we have an agreement with the property owner's estate of that they get to lease certain parking spots in that lot as well. And there's something with where the lot cuts off. So I think before we make a decision to sell the lot, we need to do more research.
All right. Well, I think that's reasonable because we can't sell what we don't own.
My question is, are we talking about a set number of cars that need spaces? Because if you start playing with the prices, if we raise one and lower the other, it might end up biting us in the butt. I mean, because prices need to be set on supply and demand, and I don't know what the demand is on all of these. I mean, if you've got 100 people that need to park their car in downtown, and we all of a sudden we raise City Hall and we drop Maple, we might lose the spots rented in City Hall, and that's going to end up costing us more money because we're going to lose revenue. I'm not disagreeing with what you're proposing, but I think we just can't throw numbers out there and
I think the renters in City Hall lot are not likely to change. It's too convenient for the ones who are renting.
But that's something that I'd like
They're not
to
going to
consider.
change.
Well, and Mary, I don't think you're wrong on anything you said. I don't see the point in us like handcuffing our totally competent management team to be able to make this fund break even in the oncoming year. Whether that be raise prices or sell a lot or acquire a new lot. They will come and bring us an idea and we would approve it as long as they're doing their job.
Well, we haven't heard any so far, so then I'd like to hear something.
Well, I'm seeing a Maple lot, you've got 76 stalls available, correct? And 16 is an average.
Yeah.
So do we do any survey to figure out why aren't people parking there?
It's farther away.
Well,
But it would be interesting to see.
Yeah.
why, if you can get $20 a month and get a parking stall, why aren't you doing it?
Because I'm looking at it, Mary, like if you put City Hall up to 35 and we put Maple down to 10, you might have all your spots in City Hall going over to Maple.
Well,
Because you're walking for $30 a month or whatever the difference would be depending. I mean, and so I think you want some sort of action. You want us to look at this, right?
we've got to do something.
And I think if we combine that idea with Gabe's idea and allow management to come back to us with, okay, this is, allow Mr. Thurine to maybe talk to some of those people and see why they're parking where they're parking, I think they can possibly come up with something that we can approve or change or,
Right, and I think when we budget to break even, and we expect our management team to make the fund break even.
And so what I'm saying is what you did is the right thing, is you come up and say, okay, let's talk about this, let's throw some numbers. Do you have any qualms about allowing the people that we've hired to kind of take a look at this and come back with something?
No, but I want them to do that then. That's
Okay.
never happened. All that happens is we keep
I move that we direct
subsidizing
staff to come up
subsidizing.
with, some changes on the rates so we're at least breaking even by, what kind of a time frame would you like?
By the end of the year.
Does that work?
Sure.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? So we're directing staff to review the parking lot situation and come back with recommendations whereby it would be a self-sufficient, self-funding
Want it to at
situation.
least break even. They
Well,
can figure out how to
at
make
least
money
break-
on it. We don't have to stop them to do that.
No. Well, we won't stop at breaking even if you go the other way, right?
Yep.
Okay, that would be wonderful, but I really want to see something.
I think that was good. We need to vote on it though.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, did you second it?
Yeah, you did. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, and we got that one done. And we're down to, the railroad, well, that's all part of this. The next one is the community action, and we got a lot of information. What?
The council health insurance is next, number 7.
Gosh, how did I go?
I missed that one too.
I must.
Parking lots.
Mine is just another copy of parking lot. rates
Yeah.
from
Keep
what
going,
you said
one more.
there.
Oh, it's after the community action, but it's on the.
Community action, I have number 8.
Okay, I don't know what happened then. We
What
should
are
have a PNF number 7 is city council health insurance.
I don't think we do have that.
I saw that somewhere. I know I did.
There's something happened with my.
Yeah, I
agenda.
thought it was weird from the, I thought we were just gonna talk a lot about parking lots.
Well, getting back to it, we can be kind of quick on it, because there may be no action tonight, but there may be information you'll want. And that has to do with the suggestion that was floated on capping the council's insurance payment at a certain fee. And that was it. And if you take more insurance, if you take the city's plan, for example, and it would cost a lot more, which it does, you would pay it. If you have some other form of insurance yourself, and the amount that your cost is, that would be all that the city would pay. If it was less than 600, you get less than 600. And while there isn't any way of actually knowing what that would save, because Connie or someone would have to put together all sorts of information
Thank you.
as to actual figures, which we don't have at this point for each of us. But it seems to me that what I'm looking at in that one is not only a cost, but an issue of fairness and an issue of transparency. Right now, the way we do it is totally non-transparent to the public, as well as being, if you want to use the term fair, and I don't think that's a good adjective, but it's different for each council member. If a council member actual insurance copay is, let's just say, $100, and if the next council member is taking the entire package, which is what, 12,000 or more, you know, there's a huge difference there. Now, it isn't a difference that, frankly, I'm terribly upset about. But what I am upset about is the lack of transparency to the public. And so I think it would make a lot of sense to put a cap on it. We don't know what co-pays are out there, but those could remain the same. We have a policy on co-pay. Those could remain the same. But it just seems to me it would be reasonable. We all make the same money as far as our so-called salary goes. And I think it would make a lot of sense to have a figure that was paid to council people for their insurance, and that's the end of it. So that I'm laying it out again.
I still remember when Councilwoman, when Dolly was on, and Dolly and I kind of supported that we just get rid of the insurance and increase the monthly rate. When you look at the comparison between the city of Brainerd and other cities of similar size, very few of them pay insurance, but most of them pay more per month, and it would save the city money, and it would be totally transparent if we did it that way. And that's kind of what I'm looking at, and what I would like to consider and discuss if we can find. And I remember that it got voted down, and part of the reason it got voted down was because of some disagreement on what we would raise the monthly. I mean, if we're opening this for discussion, that's something I would like to discuss further. And we couldn't change it after that because we had 2 new members, and you can't change it after they've been elected.
And you can't change the council's salary until after the next election. So that could not happen until the earliest 2017. So but we could change, I believe, the insurance structure. We could do that.
I would be inclined to agree with Dave on just scrap it and increase it's entirely transparent. Every council member gets, $1,000 a month or whatever it is. The citizens know that. They don't know that you're getting $550 a month and up to $600 in reimbursement.
Should have seen my job when I found out that we got health insurance. What? So that's and I would say anybody that's sitting here because they get health insurance should not be sitting here.
Well, what would you say if we just once again lay it on the council and say, we're going to continue this discussion, lay out the facts that no salary, council salary could change till January of 2017.
Now, is that a state?
Yes, it is.
Do you
It's a
have to
state
have
law.
it changed though before you have the openings for your filings?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know the
I don't
city,
think so.
whether it's in the charter or statute, I don't know.
think
There's
it's-
statute, but I'm struggling to recall exactly the wording. But I looked at it last year, I believe, for the city when we talked about this issue. So I would have a.
And so my understanding was after you've already elected, because those
I think you
incumbents
can-
can't vote on it, but everybody that's on it that it would affect are sitting. I'd be curious to see if we can change
It's
it
just
or
a
not.
timing issue
Yeah.
of when it becomes effective.
Right.
So
Right, I
the
think-
idea is that council members can't give themselves raises
Yeah.
without it being effective, after
That makes sense.
an election.
Yeah.
You can reduce at any time, I believe, but you can't increase. So it's a protection. For,
It's something that if the public wants to get in on the discussion during the election
It's
process,
to deter
they can do that.
councils from
They
paying
can do
themselves
that.
too much.
And
Yeah.
if it's a transparency thing, we should just do away with any health reimbursement, anything that's a variable number, and just make it a flat number that everybody knows exactly what it is.
I'm very amenable to all of these discussions. All I'm saying is that I think we need to change this somehow, because it's
I think we're 100% agreement
it's
right here.
all over the board.
Yep.
So what do you want?
I would like to direct staff, to get one, I would like to just ask the city attorney to just check the wording on that.
Review the law.
Review the law. I would like them to gather some information on the finances of what Mary's plan would look like. Also gather, we had that information before, what other municipalities our size pay their council, how many of them pay insurance, so we can take a look at that and see if we can move that in line. So that's kind of what I want, and then we could have this discussion, we could put this, after we get that, we could get that information, we could have another discussion in P and F and see if there's something that we want to bring in front of the council.
Second,
Discussion. Uh,
Timeline, I suppose, would be the only thing that's not in there.
Well,
And that's more,
What urgency is it? I mean, you can't make a decision for some time. I'm not saying you set it off for a year, but, you don't need it for next month.
the
Right.
only urgency I saw, and why I brought it up when I did, was there would be a savings in the budget this year if we went to the proposal of capping the insurance to each council member.
could we look at, because they're not mutually exclusive, right? We could do Mary's and then we can change it, right?
Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure with Eric saying, okay, here's what you may do with salary and or insurance.
Right.
So we clear here's what your latitude is. And you can say if you want, we can get comparative cities and I think, can pick those that have a good array of cities and companies.
Well, I think it's good to have the information and.
then get it back in
Right,
next month.
and we can start with
Okay.
that. and-
Next month is what you're saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And now we must be down to the community action one. And I asked also about that one because I felt that all of the other referendum groups, the Arboretum and the Senior Center, they pay all their utilities, but community action doesn't. And so in beginning to look through this, it appears that it gets a little complicated because of the driver's license people being over there. And maybe Jim wants to talk about this one a little bit?
Well, we have much comparison work to do. I mean, we have that building that, and frankly, in my trip through the building and reviewing it from top to bottom, there are a number of questions that I have about who's using what, where, under what circumstance, under what lease or sublet lease. So I can't suggest we can take an action tonight, but I get your point saying, all right, is there fairness
Right.
in who's paying what utility bill?
Now, it appears that the lease with the driver's license, that we agree to pay the utility bill
That's
with
right in
them.
there.
So the dilemma is what portion, it's 1 meter. And I even said, could we have 2 meters? And well, that doesn't seem practical. So the question was, how would we determine a fair amount to community action. And I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue.
I don't have
Well-
a suggestion tonight.
Square footage.
Yeah, 1338 a square foot is the rent that the driver license pays. But you said there are people leasing and subleasing, and how
Well,
many
we don't
tenants are
know.
in the building? We don't know how many tenants are in the building.
But we know the driver's license testing office and
We know a
community
minimum
action.
of 2, we know a maximum of how many.
And that's all. I mean, that's
A
all that we
maximum
know.
of 2.
Yes.
There's no
It
more.
was unclear to me when I walked through which organization was reporting to whom for what purpose. And there was nobody there to ask. So,
No, there is more space available. I mean, there was, 1,000 Friends was in there for a little bit. They had a little lease spot. We used some of it for storage. And so there is some common area that isn't leased out as well.
I don't know how we're gonna figure it all out, but I think if there's any revenue that really should be paid in the interest of fairness, that they should pay it. And
Well, I
that's all
think,
I'm asking.
I think in fairness, they just pay us rent of $13.38 a square foot for rent.
I don't
Are you
think
talking
that-
about-
I don't know that we can make
Community action.
community action do it. Look at the lease we have with them. That would have to be modified, because I don't believe it identifies that. So we would have to open that lease and see.
The agreement is pretty space that we're gonna provide them office space.
Right,
Well,
and
it
it
can
doesn't
be
say
canceled
at
in
a
90-day notice.
Without cost to Brainerd Community Action.
Right, and it can be canceled in 90-day notice.
I just think it should be on the table, because once again, we can't be good guys, because that isn't being a good guy. Somebody's paying for it. Somebody's paying the bill, it's the taxpayers of Brainerd. So all I'm looking at in everything here, including the HRA, is trying to be fair to the taxpayers in Brainerd.
Figure out our percentage, Mary. All the rest of the city does that percentage, I'll be happy.
Excuse me? I'll see you later.
I know.
All right, okay. So we're going to say this is under discussion, continue the discussion. All right, and the workshop, we got to change, and we had it the 14th, we've already filled up the 21st. Oh, God.
28th is your library board.
Oh, yes.
Those are the 2 dates I had written down.
The 13th didn't work for anybody of October? That's a Tuesday. Or no, that would, yeah, that'd be a Tuesday.
I got something on the date marked here.
Oh, you got too much day. Give up your day job.
I have a debate tournament. You have something on that day too.
I do?
Yeah, you're gonna be judging for us, aren't you?
Okay, that sounds like fun. I love doing it. I've done that.
And I'll be sending out invites to other
That is
people.
such fun. And those kids are so good.
We have at least 40 kids on our team.
Oh, they're so good. He's got an outstanding team. Okay,
So,
well, look at your dates,
28th.
guys.
What time is your library board?
At 6.
Can we do it the 28th before your library board?
Well,
What
I'm
time's library?
surprised to hear
6.
you say that.
I have
We could do it at 3.
From when to when?
1 to 2?
Not till I'm done.
That's how Jay's.
Usually about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Do no Tuesdays work for anybody? Tuesdays are usually good days for me.
Tuesdays are tough, but
They're tough for you?
if we can get that Wednesday to work, I mean, Dave just said he had that from 1 to 2. He didn't say, do you have a problem with doing the 28th or?
No, I could do 28th. The meeting probably won't be done till 3, but.
Well, I can't be here by 3, so.
So, yeah.
I mean, your
Yeah,
earliest
that's
I
on
can
the
do-
only
What time
out day
can
I
you
can
be
do
here?
it.
You know, like 3:30 if I'm pushing it, 3:40 definitely works.
3:45, gotta be at, but wait, I've gotta be at library at 5.
1 hour
Because
meeting.
I'm on the
Hour meeting?
finance committee. 1 hour isn't enough time. This is a 3-hour meeting at a minimum. I think we gotta look at another date. I do.
Can we go into November?
Yeah, Connie, I know you want us to do that because you're so busy.
This is more Chris than it is me, so
Okay.
I'm just saying that we don't have any unions that are open at this point, so is there an urgency to have it in October? That's what I'm asking.
Well, November, what date is the 1st of November?
Hold on. The
It's
first is
November
Sunday.
Well, we won't be.
I'm open on Sunday.
So the 2nd is council. How's the 3rd of November?
That's a
It's
Tuesday.
election day.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
election
good
day.
Lord. How's the,
Wednesday would be the 4th.
And the 5th, there's another tournament.
Oh, jeez.
The 4th would possibly work.
I have nothing on the board.
I have a staff meeting at school. I can miss that.
Well, let's say November 4th at 4 o'clock,
All right.
at 4 p.m.
And then we'll keep it, that's looking a ways out, and there's a
Right.
possibility I might be missing something, but if
Okay.
I see something on my calendar that's not my phone, I will.
Right, right.
So this is what's the official?
This is the
PNF
PNF workshop.
on,
4 p.m. to
Right.
6 p.m.
Yeah, right.
That's your 3-hour meeting, 4 to 6.
don't teach her math.
And so we'll cancel the 14th. Cancel the 14th. Okay, and going on, because time is going by, I don't think there's time for longevity discussion, but that's another one that
Did you get the article that I sent out?
Yes, and I had an article from the Brainerd paper that's probably on your desk in front of you saying money isn't the only motivator. That's from the workshop here in Brainerd last week. So
That was a great motivator.
I know, but I do want to pursue this. Jim, if I may, hope I'm not saying anything you don't want me to say, but Jim and I had a talk about it, and he made a suggestion that I'd be very willing to follow through with that. We freeze it for any new department heads that would be hired. That wouldn't, and then Jim was going to talk further to the other department heads.
We haven't had a full department.
No, I
discussion
understand,
on it,
I
but,
understand,
yeah,
but,
if you wanted to go down that road,
but
it's
you
one
could
way to
talk
go.
about it, and maybe there'd be a way to even, stagger it, like over a 5-year period to, anyway, look at options, but I don't see what we would lose by at least saying that it would not be go forward for new hires. But do you want to hold that? You want to hold that whole discussion?
Well, yeah, I don't think we have time to talk about
I
this
don't think
now,
we do
so,
either, so I
just
think
have
it's
to
more than
kick
that.
the can down the road.
I think we need to hold.
Do you have any concern? Well, that's.
We already said we were
Okay.
moving it
There
along,
we
so
go.
I had nothing to say.
And GESP,
I
that's
move we accept the resolution for
Oh,
joint
good.
powers agreement on
Discussion.
GESP.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great idea.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Yes.
Yes, we had another meeting today, and I think we may